Hey Lorcana fans, this is one of those videos that you dream about making because it's going to be capped off by a brand new card from Into the Inklands, and I can't wait to share it with you. But before we look at the card, I want to talk about what came before it, and yes, we're going to talk about art and artists. So first off, Erin really wishes she could join us today, but unfortunately she has her biggest event of the year coming up this weekend and she couldn't take time away, so this video is left to me, and I'm going to do the best I can to carry it. And we all know that Lorcana is filled with some amazing artists. There's hundreds and hundreds of people bringing their talents to this game, from the concept artists to the card artists, and it really shows. Some artists like Nicholas Cole or Grace Tron or Matthew Robert Davies have a bunch of cards to their name. 10, 20, 30 in some cases. But there are others who come into the game to lend their talent to one or two cards. Talented artists like Mel Milton are only credited with one card in the first set, and that is Mulan. And speaking of only one card in the first chapter, the artist we're going to talk about today also only had one card in the first set. But it was a super important one in the history of the game. I'm talking about Robin Hood, Unrivaled Archer. Now this card was done by John Loren, who is just a master. He's a freelance artist who's worked on a variety of projects from Hearthstone to Spyro 4 and now Lorcana. And he's also worked on several children's books, including Hugo and the Case of the Strange Beans. John Loren, knowingly or not, has been a mentor and a role model to several other Lorcana artists. And it's understandable why many of the artists would look up to John Loren, because he is just a master and he brings it all to every single illustration that he does. And he did the same with Robin Hood. In fact, the Ravensburger team liked this card so much that they put this card on the marquee banners for the first set and made it one of the D23 promos. Out of all the Lorcana cards that will ever be printed, this is likely only one of 6 that will ever receive the D23 stamp and ink wash treatment. And I think it's safe to say that many people found Lorcana because of seeing this image for the first time. And so those of us who studied the art of the game looked at this card and asked ourselves, is this the only card that John Loren will ever do? Is he a one and done in Lorcana? But behind the scenes, John Loren was saying, you all ain't seen nothing yet, because when Rise of the Floodborn spoilers started, he blew our minds. I give you Winnie the Pooh, Honey Wizard. When this card was revealed, I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that the Lorcana community melted down a little bit. People were actually incensed that this art was on a common because it was so good. I mean, people were actually angry about it. Now, to be fair, Ravensburger liked the art so much that they gave us this delightful playmat, so we could enjoy the art in a bigger scale and, you know, put our cards on top of it, etc. So now with John Loren bringing it again in Rise of the Floodborn with Honey Wizard, we've seen a bit of a pattern. Each set, John Loren decides to blow our mind with some piece of artwork and have it featured as a special part of the game. And so when set 3 rolled around, many of us were wondering, would it be a three-peat? Would John Loren decide to grace us with another masterpiece for Into the Inklands? Well, we now have our answer. I give you Robin Hood. You know what? Before I show you the card, I actually want to look at the art first. Because look at this. Look at this art. Look at the color, the composition, the texture. Look at everything. I can't tell you how much I love this card. And one of the cool things, we get to see John Loren go back and explore one of the characters he's previously interpreted for Lorcana, doing something completely different. Now we've seen him as an unrivaled archer, and we're also seeing him daydreaming. And I hope to goodness that we get to see more John Loren Robin Hoods in various parts of Nottingham and Sherwood Forest doing Robin Hood things, because it's just magnificent. I could literally stare at this card all day. All right, let's look at the card. This card is a 6-cost inkable with 4 strength and 5 willpower, and wait for it, 4 lore. 4 lore! You know, we see very few cards in the game with 4 or more lore, and every time they hit the table, they're a huge threat to carry away the game. And at a cost of 6, this is one of the cheaper cards we've seen with 4 lore. It's fun to note that he is a Dreamborn Glimmer, and so he's slightly different than some of the Storyborn Glimmers we'll see coming straight from canon. He's also a hero, and while that doesn't matter all that much now, it probably will in the future. I like this card. I like this card a lot. You know, I think this card will see some play. 4 lore is a lot to have on the table, and at turn 6, it's not that expensive. And the fact that it doesn't take up an uninkable slot in an Emerald deck is really helpful, because there are a lot of really good uninkables in Emerald. In the first set, we did see some Emerald aggro decks that were very fast. One of them was called the Turquoise High 5, which ran Sapphire characters and Emerald characters at 5 cost or below. So stepping it up to 6 to include this finisher, I think, may happen. And in Limited, this card I think is pretty good. Whether or not it sees a little play or a lot of play, I'm just super glad it exists, because John Loren once again has blown my mind with this card. I hope he's blown yours too. I can't wait to see it in person. And you know what? I think the biggest question I have right now is John Loren capable of doing a Lorcana card that does not blow my mind? Because so far, he's done it 3 times. Anyway, what are your thoughts on this card? What are your thoughts on John Loren? What are your thoughts on Lorcana? Leave us a note in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and stay tuned for more Lorcana news, analysis, and just all around fun videos. Also Monday night live streams. Oh, I forgot to mention one very important fact. John Loren currently lives in Maine, the best state in the union. Go Maine.